What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with the biggest pay-per-view ever. Paddy Pimblett calls for super fight with Conor McGregor. Paddy Pimblett has the MMA world in the palm of his hand. After making his highly anticipated debut last year, Paddy the Baddy was quickly catapulted into the spotlight. With his signature bowl cut, his hilarious online persona, and his abilities inside the cage, Paddy Pimblett is the full package. Ahead of his upcoming fight with Jared Gordon at UFC 282, the streaking Scouser left everyone confused when he called for a super fight with Conor McGregor, dubbing the contest the biggest pay-per-view the UFC has ever seen. The comments came during an interview with ESPN, during which Pimblett explained that it goes without saying about between the two would be the biggest event in UFC history. Despite that, he explained that he doesn't believe McGregor will return to the octagon at lightweight. At the same time, he also made sure that his comments weren't taken the wrong way, clarifying that he believes McGregor deserves more respect than he gets from his peers.
But I think when Conor comes back, he'll be fighting at 170.
Probably.
He'll struggle to make 155 now, to be honest. He's looking big. But I respect Conor, know what I mean? What he's done for this sport, he's done a lot more than most other people have done for this sport, and I think he gets a bad rap. Like, he doesn't get the respect he deserves.
So far, no word back yet from McGregor, who is currently battling it out with his former teammate Artem Lobov in a highly publicized lawsuit that could see the Russian Hammer net a 5% stake in Proper 12 Irish whiskey if he gets his way. At the same time, McGregor is also gearing up for his highly anticipated return to the octagon, but next year, working things out with USADA as he navigates his path back to active competition following his removal from the USADA testing pool. Aljamain Sterling confirms Henry Cejudo fight for 2023. It seems the return of Triple C is finally upon us. According to UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, he will defend his 135-pound title against former 2-division champion Henry Cejudo next year in a highly anticipated clash. The fight was rumored to be in the works for some time now, with Cejudo's manager, Dominance MMA head Ali Abdelaziz, stating recently that the fight was confirmed behind the scenes. Despite that, fans questioned why the UFC had not announced the fight yet, leaving many to wonder if Abdelaziz had simply been trying to force the UFC's hand by prematurely announcing the fight. After all, Sterling had just recently claimed that he wanted to sit out until the summer, a comment that garnered plenty of controversy itself among the MMA community. Despite that, Sterling recently sent out a tweet explaining that as soon as he's done with physical therapy, he's getting right back to work on training for a fight with Cejudo.
So I will say, Ali, brother, it's done, but it's still not done until there's ink on the paper. You know what I mean? It's done. It's done, brother. But it's still kind of not done, you know. But this is the fight that's going to happen next.
Cejudo, of course, will be coming back from a lengthy layoff that saw him briefly retire and relinquish both the flyweight and bantamweight titles. Despite the retirement, fans always believed he would return to the octagon, given that he seemingly retired in an attempt to negotiate more money for himself. On the flip side of things, Sterling is coming off a lopsided fight with TJ Dillashaw that saw him absolutely ragdoll the challenger over the course of a 2-round affair. By most accounts, Dillashaw never really had a chance in the fight, given that he entered the bout with a severely compromised shoulder that dislocated in both of the first 2 rounds. If the fight between Sterling and Cejudo does end up taking place, who do you think gets the win? Give us your thoughts in the comments section below. Glover Teixeira wants Alex Pereira to rematch Israel Adesanya. After Alex Pereira defeated Israel Adesanya to claim the middleweight title at UFC 281, the question immediately became, what now? Adesanya had reigned over the 185-pound division for 3 years, defending the belt against 5 opponents during that time, while also challenging for the 205-pound title. As a result, UFC President Dana White said he deserved an immediate rematch against Pereira. After all, Adesanya had been both a company man and a fan favorite fighter during his reign, drawing in countless new fans and generating tons of pay-per-view buys. On the other hand, Pereira's win marked his 3rd over the last stylebender, leading others to call for a new opponent for the recently crowned champ. With streaking contenders like Khamzat Chimaev calling Pereira out, it seemed as though there were plenty of other exciting fights for the former 2-division glory champ. Pereira even went so far as to challenge Chimaev to a light heavyweight showdown in Rio early next year, an offer that was reportedly turned down by Chimaev, although the streaking Chechen Swede has since refuted those claims. According to Pereira's longtime coach and training partner, Glover Teixeira, he wants Pro Atan to have a rematch with Adesanya. He spoke during a recent interview to discuss the situation, saying,
"Yeah, I think that fight happens again right away right now. I think Alex, we beat him even. We beat him all the rounds, because that last fight, of course. Yeah, I think so. I really think so. That's why I wanted to see it again.
Okay.
If you ask me, if UFC asked me, you decided, Loco.
Yeah.
I say, okay, let's do it. Let's do it Adesanya again, because I want to see Alex beating this guy. Nothing against Adesanya. I love the guy. The guy is an incredible job. Nothing against it.
Yeah.
Just as a fighter, as a coach, as a friend, I just know he can beat him. He can beat him and without probably not lose a round.
So far, no word yet from either Adesanya or the UFC on what's next for Pereira. Stay tuned for updates as they become available. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Jorge Masvidal accuses Gilbert Burns of calling him out for followers. Recently, top-ranked welterweight Gilbert Burns and former two-time title challenger Jorge Masvidal found each other at odds as Burns was looking to book a fight for the UFC's upcoming pay-per-view card in Rio, with the UFC 283 pay-per-view in Rio quickly coming up on January 21st. Burns found himself without an opponent. As the weeks passed by, he began to push harder for a fight, calling out Jorge Masvidal, who he said turned down a fight with him. That didn't sit too well with Masvidal, who refuted Burns' claims and countered with a call-out of his own for the UFC's upcoming pay-per-view in the United Kingdom next year. Unfortunately for the BMF, Burns then booked a fight with Neil Magny for UFC 283, a move that left many puzzled given the gap in rankings between the two men. According to Masvidal, Burns never even wanted to fight. He simply wanted followers. He spoke during a recent interview to discuss the situation, saying,
"Just keep my name out of your mouth, bro. Every time he mentions my name, he gets a couple thousand followers. So I guess that's the gimmick he's doing, If he wants to fight, we'll fight in March. We'll fight in April. We'll fight in London. That's it. I don't really entertain these idiots, man. They could all go themselves, man. I'm here for me."
So far, no word yet from the UFC on who Masvidal will wind up facing. With 3 straight losses, Masvidal hasn't won a fight since 2019 when he stopped Nate Diaz. If he plans to make another run at the title, Masvidal will have to find a fight sooner rather than later. And now for our breaking news story of the day. Israel Adesanya reflects on what Alex Pereira said before the 5th round. When Israel Adesanya stood across the octagon from Kelvin Gastelum back in 2019, while preparing to enter the 5th round of the fight, a bloodied and battered Adesanya mouthed to himself, "I'm prepared to die," before going out and putting a stamp on the fight to win himself the interim middleweight title. It was a chilling moment that continued to play in highlight reels throughout the course of the last Stylebender's title reign, and one that seemed to repeat itself prior to the final round of his fight with Alex Pereira recently at UFC 281. Before the round started, Pereira mouthed, "I will kill you," to his opponent. The scene played out like something from one of Adesanya's favorite anime shows, where Pereira seizes the moment and gets the win in the waning moments of the fight. Needless to say, the irony of the situation is not lost on Adesanya, who recently reflected on the situation in a video posted to his YouTube channel.
Before the 5th, I saw him mouth something. I wasn't sure what it was, but now that I know what it was, I'm like, that's so poetic because of where I went to as well to win the title. He had to go to, I guess, a similar place. I felt like I went to a deeper place. And again, it's just, I've seen this as it just adds to the story. This whole thing of it adds to the story in a way that I just can't wait to close this chapter.
So far, no word yet from the UFC on what's next for either man, despite UFC President Dana White recently stating that the last Stylebender deserves an immediate rematch. There has been no official word on when that fight could take place. Thank you so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world right now? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.